Hello, we're Lantern Valley Studios, and today we're going to talk about Whisper of the Heart in a couple videos. And you can see the video, Whisper of the Heart, if you haven't seen it. It's a Studio Ghibli movie, and it's in the description, a link for it.
Yeah, so we saw this in theaters recently during the Juubi Fest 2019. They're playing a couple movies every month for the rest of the whole year. And if you haven't heard about that, go check it out. It's pretty awesome because all these movies are amazing. And Whisper of the Heart, we saw it twice in English and then again with Japanese subtitles. And in the midst of that, we also saw a Spider-Man movie, the newest one called Far From Home, which was quite good too. And seeing the two movies side by side, we've done things like that before where you see like a new movie of one sort and another of another, and it's nice, kind of a nice distinction between the cultures or whatever it is that's going on with these different types of movies. And with Spider-Man, there are several things that we noted that if Studio Ghibli did it, they wouldn't do a lot of what was in Spider-Man. They would take a lot of content out. And that's mostly what we're going to talk about is Whisper of the Heart has a lot of space in it, and Spider-Man left no space, and it probably would have benefited from some.
It actually relates to what he was saying at the beginning. The other time that we watched two movies back to back was The Wind Rises and the Lego movie we saw at the same time in the same day, I think.
Yeah.
And The Whisper of the Heart and Spider-Man we watched in the same day as well. And both those movies have the same thing. For the Japanese movies, the Studio Ghibli movies, have so much quiet, so much space, so much ability for the characters to have subtle nuances that make their character and have their story be told in all these ways that are just specific. And with both the Lego movie and Spider-Man, there was all this slapstick comedy thrown in that was just over the top, not really adding to the story, just kind of emphasizing jokes, really for no reason.
Yeah, it was very much space filler. Like, you could tell it was space filler in a way. Like, it didn't make the main characters like Peter or any of the protagonists or antagonists or anything, like any of the side characters, really have any depth, because all the side characters were kind of thrown around as if these one-off jokes where you could have taken them out of the movie and it wouldn't have changed. Some of the scenes, minor spoilers for Spider-Man, I guess, but at some point Ned is playing a little video game or whatever on the airplane, and later on when Spider-Man gets a phone and wants to track down where his school is, instead he looks at in the Instagram or whatever it is of the Flash, who's just constantly taking selfies of himself. You could have taken him out, and instead the guy in the chair actually has a spot, and Spider-Man contacts the guy in the chair through the game somehow, and that's how they communicate. Something like that.
It would have
filled out these characters.
It would have added to the reason why he mentioned they were playing this game at all, because that was just one-time thing and didn't add anything.
And then you've taken out one of the characters who has no depth.
His whole thing was just, I'm taking pictures of myself.
He was a weak gag.
Yeah.
And the whole show was full of tons of that. And just imagining if Studio Ghibli worked on that movie, they would have removed so much because it just doesn't have to be there. And the movie becomes better when you leave that space. And Whisper of the Heart nails that.
And there were times where Tom Holland, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, would walk around and he'd go through Venice and stuff, and they're kind of short-lived. But in Whisper of the Heart, there's moments where you actually just hear footsteps of the characters walking, and there's so much more breaks and movement and pacing that's just long and pause, and you get to see the city, and you get to see just the character walk by himself and explore. And the same thing basically happens in Spider-Man at some times where he's just kind of going on his own. It's really about his difficulties and his trial and error, which is the same thing as Whisper of the Heart, where it's all about her difficulty and what she's going through while trying to write and all this kind of stuff. And it just doesn't show it in Spider-Man. It gets tossed around by the gags. And just
a good example is in little moments like in Whisper of the Heart, she leans up to turn off a light, and then she kind of stumbles, sighs a bit, leans up, turns it off again. And that brings so much character into her. in that little tiny thing. And there wasn't nearly enough time for that, for Peter Parker to be really full outside of like the plot and the main conflict or something. There's no like depth to his character. It was just, this is the story arc, and then all that depth that could be there is filled in with one-off jokes and run-on gags for the whole movie, and then at the end most of it is just undone. Ned and the girlfriend break up, or the teachers and everybody, they all go home, and it's like, that didn't have to be there.
It's just in Whisper of the Heart 2 had this like moments of humor where, say, the husband, well, like we saw this movie twice in theaters, and both times in English or Japanese, with subtitles, people laughed at the same jokes. And one was like a husband, he's like smoking at the table, and the wife is like, come on, like don't smoke, and he's like, okay, I'll put it out. But then he like takes a big drag before he actually puts out the cigarette smoke.
Or just a minor expression, like a character just having a funny face when somebody says, "Oh, I'm not good enough yet," and then she angry face and then happy face.
It's
everybody laughs.
Humor that's in the character, as opposed to humor that's like put on top to be funny, and just is not that great, really. Like I don't want to see the Spider-Man movie again because I'd have to watch through the beginning slapstick stuff. And it's throughout the movie, but it's mainly at the start. And while I was watching it, I was like, I hope this movie picks up the pace. And
for a fast slapstick joke type of movie with a bunch of action, to think it has to pick up the pace
is really give it some space, and then it'll be much more rich.
Pick up the pace on developing that richness, the character development and depth. It's just some kind of thing that we started thinking about and talking about after watching these two movies back to back.
It'd be interesting to see Spider-Man edited with all that space in there, and take out the characters and that are kind of not doing anything.
The game of how many characters can you take out and still make this movie work?
Yeah.
Minimize it down to its extremes. Yeah.
So if you haven't seen Whisper of the Heart, go to the link in the description. And
Spider-Man's in theaters. Go watch it too. It's a big theater movie for sure, with all that action and stuff.
Yeah. See you next time.
Whisper of the Heart's in theaters too.
Only once. It's over. See Ghibli Fest in the links below too.